I think I'm very happy to report that today we are going to take up a very interesting thing, which I discovered by accident. And PIDE would like to, um, you know, publicize this a lot more. Two young Pakistanis, I think this, I don't even know where they're sitting, so they'll tell us. Faiz Ahmed, who's the founder of Macro Pakistani, and Asad Pabani, editor-in-chief of Macro Pakistani. Faiz and Asad, I congratulate you. You've got a great website, great app. It's wonderful to see what you've done. And I'm really, really impressed. So that's why I thought we should call you and discuss with you, what have you done? Why have you done it? What is your business model? How do you expect to make it work? Because I'm fascinated by it. This is something that PIDE should have done. So I'm really unhappy you beat us to it. But nevertheless, PIDE is a Pakistani think tank, so it's your think tank too. So we own you, whether you like it or not, right? Because you are with us. So we congratulate you on beating us to it, and we congratulate you on doing a great job. And I would like to now invite, tell our audience what Macro Pakistani is. How can we use it not only for whatever forecasting? How can we use it for understanding the economy? How can we use it to teach our kids? How can we tell our kids to use your website to learn more, etc., etc. There's so many issues here. You've done a great job, and mashallah, you've opened up macroeconomics to Pakistanis. And the reason for doing this webinar is to tell all Pakistan that, hey, they should use your site because it's a great site. And I congratulate you. And with that, I hand it over to you. Tell us about Macro Pakistani, then we'll discuss it.
Thanks a lot, Nadeem Saab. A huge fan as well. So this is a fan moment for me to be here and speaking to you about Macro Pakistani. I'll start off with a bit of a presentation just to answer some of the questions that you asked. And then maybe we can get into the cadence of asking questions and we can tell you what we can about Macro Pakistani. So first off, just a bit of an introduction about myself. So I'm Faiz, I'm the founder of Macro Pakistani. I've worked in consulting before at Bain & Company in the Middle East. I've also worked at the International Finance Corporation in Pakistan, the State Bank of Pakistan as well. And I recently completed my MBA from Harvard Business School. I'll let Asad introduce himself as well.
Thanks, Faiz. And yeah, my name is Asad, and I work as a journalist and researcher. And I graduated from Vanderbilt University about 4 or 5 years ago now. And I've been working in the journalism research space in Pakistan. So पिछले कुछ 4-5 साल में first I was kind of involved in the setup of Soch Videos, which is a journalism website जहाँ हम economics के अलावा human rights वगैरह issues भी cover करते थे. और फिर उसके बाद Collective for Social Science Research में मैं think tank में थोड़े टाइम काम कर रहा था और अभी recently फैज के साथ मेरी Macro Pakistani में भी involvement हुई है. So that's kind of where my background is.
So our team is quite small right now in terms of, so we have someone working in technology, Abdul Rahman, and a fantastic marketing team headed by Pakia. But let's discuss that a bit down the line. And what we're trying to discuss in this webinar, at least, is 3 things that are relevant for Macro Pakistani. So the first thing is the problem that we are really trying to solve. Pakistan, surprisingly, if you check Civic Engagement, which is a measure of what's the usage of the internet to get news, you will see that Pakistan is actually comparable to a lot of developed countries, right? So what this number 45% means is that at least once a day, 45% of internet users go onto the internet to get news. The same number compared to in India, for example, is 3 times less, right? So 16% over there, 45% in Pakistan, out of which the majority go more than once a day to get news. When I basically first time saw this number, I was like, okay, fine, digitally engaged audience, this could work. The second metric is a lot more surprising, which is the opinion on the performance of media has been getting worse year by year. So what we know is that most Pakistanis want the news, but we also understand that incumbents are not really doing the job for them right now, as the opinion is going down. And we feel that's primarily because media concentration in Pakistan is quite high. So if you take the audience share across channels for the top 4 groups, you will see TV concentration is at like 55%, where the 4 main groups, that's the audience share they have. That's essentially, think of this as the market share. In terms of print, it's even worse. So 70% concentration for the 4 main groups there. For radio, it's around 36%. And digital is the only space where we have a bit of room to play for places like Macro Pakistani, because the top 4 groups only have 25% share. The opportunity we feel is huge in Pakistan, and like stuff like this, everyone presents when talking about Pakistan. There's a huge population, internet is going up. What we want to focus on actually is social media usage, which is significantly high. 37 million users, probably more this year after COVID, and where digital media is disrupting the entire industry. Right, in terms of ad revenues for media outlets, if we start looking at it, you will see every other major channel, TV, radio, print, is declining in terms of ad revenue, but digital is growing at 30% a year, right? I think this number would have gone even higher during COVID, which sort of brings us to the kind of opportunity that Macro Pakistani has, right? Abhi filhal, we're focusing on the educated reading Pakistani youth, so people who use the internet, read English, unfortunately for now, but they're interested in contemporary news, but overburdened with sensationalism, right? There's all sorts of fake news. There's also all sorts of wrong reporting in terms of maybe some economic terms are not understood properly by journalists. And that's why we sort of created Macro Pakistani, to take whatever information is out there, boil it down into bite-sized digestible pieces so that people can really understand and sort of take decisions accordingly. Because civic engagement hona, like, reading the news is not a great thing if you're not reading the right kind of news, if you're not understanding it, if you cannot take decisions accordingly. What sense of accountability, how do you bring that about in your government officials if you don't understand what is happening in the country? So that's really the problem that we're trying to solve, and the opportunity that we see. Quickly, just I'll walk you through the bullets. Basically, Macro Pakistani wants to sit right in the middle and become a bridge between whoever has the relevant economic information in Pakistan and the civically engaged youth, right? A majority of our audience is youth, 90% under the age of 34 for Macro Pakistani at least, and we want to be the bridge between, places like the State Bank of Pakistan, Pakistan Bureau of Statistics. I would even include, we've actually used a lot of material by Pakistan Institute of Development Economics as well, because a research report, a lot of people might not read, especially the kind of audience that we have. But if you break that report down into, let's say, 3 posts on Instagram, it all of a sudden becomes understandable for people, and they spend more time, learning more about it. So what we're trying to break is technocratic lingo, specialized sort of language, जो economics में use करते हैं, and try to really say, inflation ऊपर जा रही है तो क्यों जा रही है? अगर interest rate नहीं बढ़ रहा तो क्यों नहीं बढ़ रहा? Exchange rate volatility क्यों होती है? So explain terms like that rather than just reporting a $164 to touch कर रहा है. And we call this, like, it's a fancy way of saying it, but we call it slowing down the breaking news, which is we're not in the business of trying to report information as soon as it comes out. We're in the business of taking that information, really breaking it down and making people really understand it, so that eventually you take that information, और जो हमारी engagement है उसको हम थोड़ी और sense of responsibility and accountability में, so that we turn into it. So that's really the social cause that we're trying to sort of address. I don't have to go through all the slides over here, but again, for now, we've been focusing a lot on data analysis, developing visualizations, building our Instagram audience, a bit selectively on other social media platforms as well. We have a website with dynamic graphs, so they update as soon as data comes out on the public sources. But now, I think this year and the next, what we're really trying to focus on is mass democratization. So first, all of our information was in English. Then we started an Urdu podcast. Then we started explaining economic terms in, using bilingual sort of language. And I think slowly and surely we'll veer towards being, addressing a larger part of the market rather than the, small portion that just reads in English. We're working a lot on developing partnerships. So this webinar is, I hope, is a start of a great partnership with PIDE as well. We're doing a lot more in terms of advanced analytics, going city-wise in terms of understanding what is happening. All of this stuff you don't see on social media right now, but it's all the stuff that's happening in the background. It takes a lot of time to develop in terms of the technology. And hopefully a few years down the line, we actually become policy advocates and sort of, be able to tell senior people in relevant positions, what the viewpoint of the youth is, for example, in certain areas. And just in terms of numbers, we've the fact that Nadeem Saab has noticed us is validation enough. But just we have grown quite quickly in the last 8 months. We've gotten quite a significant following, especially on Instagram. Website traffic is great. What's also good is that as our audience goes up, our engagement is actually also going up. So usually what happens is when you become bigger, you get a few likes on, for example, Instagram. But we've managed to keep our engagement levels quite high, which sort of proves that there is a market for information like this, that people are actually do want to understand economic information in Pakistan. We launched a lot of the stuff we did through user requests, right? So people asked us, explain to us terms in the GDP. So we started with GDP, we spoke about consumption, investment, government expenditure, exports and imports. So really breaking it down. Within that, giving them a flavor of what it's like in Pakistan. I did my undergrad from LUMS in economics, and I remember I was taught a lot of theoretical stuff. It's only when you take a few applied courses that you might find out about Pakistan. But I felt like my education would have been enriched a lot more if I was told, okay, acha masla Pakistan mein exactly ye hai. So like if you say consumption driven economy, this is what it's like in Pakistan. Consumption is high, housing expenses are too high, inflation, this is how it breaks down. But I felt like theoretical education should be complemented with a sort of applied knowledge of Pakistan, and that's what we're trying to build. I think I'll let Asad add a few more points and then we can open it up to questions.
For sure. Thanks, Fez, for the introduction. And just to add from my point of view, as the editor-in-chief and kind of the journalism that I would like to produce and see out there, is that I see a dearth of public interest journalism that is data-driven in this country. So what you do often end up getting is that you end up having separate fields, right? So there are people who talk about economic issues, and sometimes even they don't use numbers when substantiating arguments in this country, but sure, economics is seen as like the domain of like numbers in this country. And then you have other issues like social issues or political issues. And in that, you very rarely see numbers being utilized because human rights is seen as a separate field and not one that's intimately tied with data. So in my role as editor-in-chief, that's at least what I'm looking to change. I'm looking to advance public interest journalism, which can actually utilize those numbers. As an example, just recently, we published a couple of articles. I wrote a couple of articles on the housing crisis in Pakistan. And we all have an idea that there's a housing crisis and something is not quite working. But in order to really understand the full picture, whether we're talking about the lack of apartments that are available for middle-class people to be able to buy, or whether we're talking about the number of homes being demolished in working-class areas in, say, Karachi. In either of these, if we have the numbers to substantiate the arguments, that really helps create a bigger context around where we are. So, for example, we need about 700,000 homes a year to just meet the current housing shortage on a year-by-year basis, and yet in the last 20 years, we've demolished 700,000 homes in Karachi. So you can create these kind of interesting contrasts and also understand what is contributing, what level of scale to the problem, if you're able to quantify in terms of numbers. So for me, that is a primary interest of mine, and really trying to also create a culture in which there's a lot more evidence being put in to back up your data and arguments, whatever platform and whatever kind of theme or topic it may be.
Great. Nadeem Saab, how do you want to ask questions first before we open it up, or?
Gee, I certainly do. Tell me one thing. You put all the data there with some charts. Okay? How do you make your projections?
So we, as of now, we haven't started doing, let's say, econometric analysis to like project what's going to happen, etc. We're trying to use existing data for now and see, okay, check the validity and see if it makes sense, and then project that going forward. For now, we haven't started our own economic research.
अच्छा, ये बताइए कि this data, now who are your users and how do you expect them to use? Is this targeted towards the financial markets, the research community, the policy community? How do you?
Yeah, so I so far we've experienced three sort of audience types, right? One is the research community that you talk about, who basically need one place where there is, like, let's say, all the data in Pakistan. It's a bit hard for them to go to PBS website and look at all the PDFs that they publish instead of doing something in Excel. So like we have all the data that's available on PBS in a graphical format. So the research sort of academics use it quite a lot. The second proportion is about students, right? So lump students in schools, in university, who don't really understand some concepts. They come to us to understand exactly what those concepts are about with the lens of Pakistan. So that's the second one. The third one was the most interesting one that we discovered back in February, which is sort of bureaucrats as well, or aspiring bureaucrats. When the CSS exam was happening in Feb, our website actually crashed because we were not expecting the kind of traffic that would come with the, I think it was the 5th or 6th of February, if I'm not wrong. We were not expecting the kind of traffic that CSS exam applicants could bring on the website, and the website crashed because Macro Pakistani sort of has, you know, information on the economics of Pakistan, has information on the environmental issues of Pakistan, the social issues, the political issues, and it sort of became a nice sort of summary for CSS exam, and basically what that showed is that whatever you learn in the bureaucracy might also be, like, you know, it could be good for you to come across Macro Pakistani as well. And we've had interest from certain government institutions who have reached out and asked us to help there as well. So I understand there's the government bureaucracy, let's call it that, there's the academics, and then there is the sort of engaged youth who wants to learn more.
Thank you. What about, how do you use the research available? For example, the way I look at macro economics in Pakistan, one is the data, yes, of course. The other is also trying to understand the key relationship. Like, for example, if I go there, I want to look at, for example, the fund program, the budget, and, you know, what's happening on the fund program, the budget, for example, the export, the balance payment situation, or even the inflation situation. Now, tell me that if tomorrow Shaukat Tareen asks his people, or ask me, for example, yeah, okay, go to Macro Pakistani and look up and give me some information on all these things. What is it that you think your website will give me?
So let's start with, I think the points you talked about were the ones that we already have information on, so that's great. So the IMF program, when the reports get published, we usually you know, write an article on it. Again, transforming the discussion document into something like 1,800 words on the website. We'll also probably have a social media post linked to that, which is not really for, let's say, an older audience. That's more for people who will otherwise never read the report themselves. Same thing with the budget, but with the budget, what we also did is a webinar. And that's how a lot of other institutions also discovered us, because they saw the budget webinar that we did, again, breaking it down into something that people will understand rather than going through a 50-page PDF that probably people will not read. Inflation, we do, I would say, a pretty good job at, because every month when inflation is released, we release the post explaining exactly why it's going up or exactly why it's going down, what metric, which is housing going up, or is whatever food going up, is energy going up, and if energy, what a part of energy. We also publish every Friday when the sensitive price index comes out. So really explaining why the sensitive price index is going up. Is it eggs this week? Is it chicken this week? What proportion does chicken make in the total basket, consumption basket? So you understand even a 1% increase in chicken, for example, will impact a lot more than a 1% increase in potatoes. So really breaking these down. So we do a small paragraph, we don't want to do, let's say, 5 pages on inflation every week, because people are not interested in really reading about that. They want the broad information, something visual. You present something visual and you provide a description below in terms of what the impact is on really the average person.
And just to jump in on that as well, is that people really find that data useful, because as Faz said, right now, even though maybe in the future, we also perhaps want to be collecting our own data on commodities and weekly prices or monthly prices in not just cities, but also different areas of cities. I think anyone who lives in any big city, Karachi or Lahore, for example, will know that prices of goods or commodities can vary wildly depending on different region. We don't have that data right now, but even the PBS data we have right now, just us kind of reformatting it and putting it in a format that is easy to understand for people makes a big difference, because that data is already existing on PBS's website, but most people, it's not very social media friendly. It's not PDF reader friendly either. So for us to be able to repurpose that data means that for most people, that's largely the only source to get that data. So there's also something to be said for how data is available and presented to people. It's not just about being there.
Okay, देखिए, we are very happy to collaborate with you, as we should, because as I said, PIDE is your institution, not mine, and PIDE should collaborate with everybody, like our university system. We are open knowledge, so we should collaborate with you. बिल्कुल जरूर करेंगे. मुझे एक और बात बताइए कि हम जो क्या कहते हैं, for example, to me, macroeconomics is also very important in terms of to understand the relationships, the key relationships of macro. For example, what is the export elasticity, and for example, what is the import elasticity, or what is the effect of the exchange rate on inflation. अब हमने इस पे काफी काम किया है. For example, हम करते हैं things like ये elasticity वगैरह तो regularly contact हम estimate करते हैं. उसके अलावा we have things like के जो currency crisis पे हमने काम किया है, जो reserves पे, और जो for example दूसरी चीज होती है more analytical work I'm talking about. Yeah, for example, we are trying to build a macro model, and we are trying to do things. How can you use that research to kind of inform people? Because हमारी बड़ी debate होती है ये कि भाई हो exchange rate devalue ना करो, which is a very stupid debate, because devalue, एक तो पहली चीज, there's no such thing as devaluation. I think you guys know. Exchange rate is like your temperature. It goes up when you've got a problem. Otherwise, exchange rate stays steady. If you've got an underlying disease, got a virus or something, obviously temperature चढ़ेगा. तो उसको ये कहना कि उसको रोक दो टेम्परेचर को, आई एम श्योर यू रियलाइज अगर टेम्परेचर को रोक दोगे तो मर जाओगे, तो बेहतर है टेम्परेचर हो जाए. बट दूसरी चीज ये है कि फिर वो ये भी कहते हैं ओए एक्सचेंज रेट की चढ़ाव अगर हो गई तो एक्सपोर्ट नहीं बढ़ती. चलें फिर इलास्टिसिटी की बात कर लें, और एक्सचेंज रेट बढ़ गई तो इन्फ्लेशन हो गई. तो हमने वो देखा इन्फ्लेशन इतनी नहीं बढ़ती, मतलब इट्स ओनली 20-30% जो इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ती है. इट्स नॉट एज इफ फुल बढ़ जाती है. सो हाउ डू वी ब्रिंग दिस एनालिसिस इनटू योर वेबसाइट टू, बिकॉज़ आई थिंक your website has the potential of garnering a lot of debate, a lot of insight, and I think there you've done a great public service, and I hope it becomes a success and you make a lot of money out of it too. But I'm looking at it from that point of view. So how can we interface with you to develop that? ये पहले मुझे बता दें, then I've got another question and we'll turn to the audience. Meanwhile, audience, please raise your hand, whoever wants to ask questions. Ji.
So let's give you an example of, for example, the Pakistan Business Council, right? So Pakistan Business Council wanted to write on a certain topic. We collaborated with them and wrote that article out. So that's a one-off instance of how we work together. Then we have something like we explain some facts about Pakistan on a weekly basis. So every Tuesday you hear something about Pakistan. We take in your input, we process it, and we push it. That's essentially one easy way of collaborating. We are moving a lot more towards video now. So maybe a short video that explains, okay, actually when exchange rate depreciates, it only has a 15-20% impact on this, and this is the exact impact. I think a 2 to 3 minute video has a lot more impact than releasing a research report that essentially people will not read. So a lot of the other institutions that I've also spoken to and we've collectively spoken to say that they write a lot of long reports. It's on the desks of a lot of political leaders, it's on the desks of a lot of bureaucrats, but no one really reads it, right? They like to appreciate a shelf behind them with research reports, but it doesn't really mean anything because they've hardly ever gone through it. So we take whatever information that you provide, we turn it into a bite-sized format depending on what the information is, and we publish it. This we can start as soon as like tomorrow. I don't think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. From our end, you give us the information, we process it, and we publish it.
Ajay, another thing, tell me, how can we get our students to use this website, and how can they learn from this website?
Great. So they can start tomorrow. You just have to follow us on social media. We started linking a lot to so you're mentioning website a lot, which is very good, but that's the age gap as well, in Pakistan, because so if so social media is Instagram, for example, we have 13,000 followers and that's where we get the most engagement, and which is the most surprising engagement. Maine jab shuru kiya tha, I personally thought, okay, Twitter is where I need to double down and direct everyone to the website, which is where I saw your posts. So essentially for the last few years as well, which is where I thought Pakistan was at. But Twitter ki penetration in Pakistan is like 1%, right? You take that same thing to Instagram or Facebook, it's a lot higher. If I take that to TikTok, which is something we're discussing these days, it's even higher. And if our purpose is mass democratization, then I need to sort of stay away from pushing people to the website and just give them information where they use it the most. And that I feel is Instagram these days. So ask your students, everyone, to follow our social media, preferably Instagram, where we're trying to expand as much as possible. Follow us on YouTube. We release weekly videos now explaining a certain topic in Pakistan, plus economic terms that they will for sure be interested in. I think those are the two places I would say follow us. And selectively, when there is something super exciting on the website, we also push the website and say, go onto the website. And they can subscribe to I think we do an email weekly newsletter, which a lot of people find useful as well. So they can subscribe on our website to that newsletter.
Tell me.
That's right. We have a weekly newsletter and in which we also round up not only weekly prices, but also podcasts and articles that we've published that week. So I would encourage people to sign up to a weekly newsletter as well, which I write. So that's also why I'm plugging it.
Good job. Congratulations. देखिए, मुझे एक और बात बताएं कि ये तो मैं सब बातें मान लेता हूं, पर मुझे बताएं, what about learning tools or experimental tools? For example, let's say if I want to, मैं PIDE में करने की कोशिश करता हूं, I failed. कि let's say, for example, when I'm making a presentation, ठीक है, I often feel the need for something in the presentation. For example, I look for a long time series of investment GDP ratio in Pakistan. I mean, not time series. I need a graph just to show people. And मैं Google search करता हूँ, मुझे graph नहीं मिलता. ठीक है? अगर export GDP ratio लेना है, I mean, simple things like that. Now I'm saying, do you have that kind of a tool where I can go and I can just simply put in 2 variables or 3 variables or whatever, X number of variables, and get a chart out of that, or get some crude relationships, or be able to do some thought experiments on the data? आपने ऐसी कोई चीज develop की है?
So this is exactly what so the more detailed version of this is being developed, and a lot of the things that you mentioned are there. So I'll just quickly show you the website. So we have Again, you will not be able to search for investment to GDP right now or exports to GDP. That's all in the works. But if you see, for example, information that comes daily, so the stock market, if you want to understand how it's moving, you can see how it's moving, how it's moved in the last 6 months, what the changes have been, how the exchange rate, now this is the volatility that I guess we were speaking about a bit, how it's moved in the last year. This is the daily information. So we don't need to do anything over here. It's fully automated. Information comes out, plugs into the website and is updated. This, I feel, this is the thing I feel like I'm most proud of, which is the MP Weekly, which is when your information comes out from PBS, टमाटर की price क्या है, उसका maximum क्या है, minimum क्या है, average क्या है. Soon you will be able to search this by city, right? So you will be able to see Karachi में टमाटर की price क्या है, what is the maximum and the minimum, sort of just to get a sense of, okay, what is the difference between the range in Karachi as well. And then same thing with sort of monthly information in terms of inflation, for example, that comes out. So national CPI kya hai, urban CPI kya hai, uski thodi bahut explanation ke. It has 356 items there. What has the monthly change been? I think we find something interesting, like you can play around with this as well and say, acha, housing has gone consistently up. Okay, actually, if you look at transport, there was a certain dip during COVID that came about, and this was the same in urban areas and the same in rural areas, sort of. So this is the kind of information that we have available. This will all become search engine optimized. We are a bit poor in terms of how we have the amount of money we have, and this takes a lot of sort of tech expertise, but we're building it slowly and surely. Our small team is working on it, trying to do as much as possible and try to make it as easily accessible as you talked about. Have a ratio. Itna mushkil nahi hai to develop just investment to GDP. What would it be? We have data for the past 10 years. It's not hard to take it to the last 30 years. So sort of make it more comprehensive as we go. Abhi basics, we actually did a survey and found out this was the moti cheezein that people were interested in. So we started with this stuff, but I've already taken notes of the information that you were looking for. And once we have it on the website, I'll ping you and let you know.
Thank you. But listen, I have another question. I think you can do more. For example, dekhe na, aapne jo charts dikhai hain are very interesting. But as I said, meri jo needs hain, let's say I'm going to use these for students, or let's say I'm going to use this for a presentation. Let's say Shaukat Tareen ke paas jana hai. I think it would be great to have one of these charts and be able to show it to him on a thing. But I should also be able to do some rudimentary analytics there. For example, if you can link your charts to some, I don't know, an Excel engine or something like that. कि अगर मैं वहां डाल के या फिर मैं डेटा डाउनलोड करूं आपसे और फिर काम करूं, या मैं उसी चार्ट पे लेके अगर मैं उसके ऊपर जैसे वो टेक्निकल एनालिसिस होता है, कोई लाइन चेन ड्रॉ कर सकूं, कोई रेशियोज बना सकूं, कोई इवन sort of elementary kind of statistical analysis like means and standard deviation, coefficient of variation वगैरह निकाल के, because these are simple tools for analytics which I think should be commonly available. I'm not a techie, but should be available on the website. So it will become extremely useful क्योंकि कई दफा customized needs होती हैं, so you can do that. Plus, you can also update these charts, because I've been trying to do this with PIDE and I must confess I failed, but you should do it. There should be data visualization. Why can't we do data visualization? वो Hans Rosling का आपने देखा है ना जो famous, है ना? So why can't we do? I mean, guys like you should be able to do data visualization for us, right? And so I mean, I think somewhere along the line you should move to visualization too, क्योंकि बहुत सारी चीजें clear हो जाती हैं even to a lay audience. अब जैसे मैं देखता हूँ ये जो अपने टीवी के एंकर्स हैं जो बड़ा बोलते हैं, they really don't have anything at all. Now I think you have a great audience there. कि टीवी के एंकर्स कम से कम जाने से पहले they should be able to download these graphics and talk about them. ठीक है ना? I think you can even price that somehow कि यार ये analytics हमसे लोगे तो कितने, whatever, that's your job. But I think it's a great thing to do. Do you think you'll be able to do that, Kini?
So everything that you said, so I stopped taking notes right now. It's exactly because all of these things that you said, before the TV anchor goes in and sort of presents data, they should be going to our website. Before senators go into the Senate to discuss something, they should go to our website. That's the level of ambition that we have, yes. And hopefully with your help, we can get there. So ideas from you, execution from us, and I think we can do a great job together.
No, Ji, I think it's wonderful. I salute you. I think it's great. And you guys have done a great job. Anything we can do for you, we'll be there with you. Consider us your partners. Like you, we are very poor people too, but we are certainly willing to support you. नहीं, थोड़ी बहुत हम financial support भी शायद कर सके. We can talk about that later. But don't look to us for funds. But certainly we'll collaborate with you in any way you like. And as I said, we will push your website. बल्कि आपके जो भी चीजें हैं हम अपने वेबसाइट पे भी लगा देंगे, अपने YouTube चैनल पे सब कुछ somehow we'll figure out how to link you.
Fantastic.
We think that you should grow. I think it's a commie need that you should grow. I think enterprises like this should be really, really welcomed and saluted. So I thank you. Let me turn to the floor. Idris Khaja Sahab.
Thank you, Nadeem sir.
Khaja Sahab हमारे वो हैं. जी. Khaja Sahab. Khaja Sahab mic नहीं unmute कर सक रहे.
तो काइंडली अपना माइक अनम्यूट कर ले.
चलें फिर ख्वाजा साहब जितनी देर फिक्स करते हैं. Let's go to Yaz Ahmed.
Thank you, sir. Looking nice to hear you, young economist. My question is related to the labor market. What type of education of our youth needed in order to compete the labor market in the world?
अच्छा आप जरा मैं collect the questions, come back to you guys, okay? Salma Hamid.
Thank you, sir. This is Saima Hamid from State Bank of Pakistan. I work for Exchange Policy Department here. Mr. Faiz and Asad, congratulations on this development in Pakistan. My question was that the source for this whole data and the graphical information will be the Pakistan Bureau of Statistics or someone else also?
Okay, great. Mahmood Khalid Sahab.
Thank you very much, sir. And it's really nice to see what actually you have been asking us to do all the time. So it's really good. My question is that since the source of the data is coming from the Pakistan Bureau of Statistics and some government figures as well. So what happens is that after due course of time, because of some statistical issues and other, they can also revise the figures. So do you intend to incorporate that kind of a graph making as well, in which what was projected and what actually has been achieved, so that kind of a performance gauge could also be made? Thank you.
Idris Khaja Sahab, are you there now?
So yes. So I would like to congratulate Macro Pakistanis on filling a vacuum and bringing economics to the layman. So what I want to ask is that what is your business model? How do you earn money? And secondly, what kind of team you have? Is it a large team, small team? Is it regular or it is part-time? Or if you want to write, for example, an exchange rate, you are doing it yourself or you are engaging an expert on a part-time basis? How do you do it?
Ji Faiz Sahab, over to you on these questions. Ji.
Yeah, great. Let me start with the labor market educational sort of inputs that are needed. So we have discussed a bit of the labor market. I think more needs to be done in terms of, we definitely need to, we were already talking about a collaboration with NAFTAC. Maybe we go back, revisit that and see what are some vocational skills that we can sort of impart on the website. Maybe there are job postings that we can start, which are in key areas. So point taken, I don't have a concrete answer in terms of what we have available on the website in terms of the labor market right now. So it's written down as a to-do. In terms of source of data, we use a lot of state bank data as well. So everything that you'll see in terms of exports, exchange rates, everything that the state bank reports, that comes from the state bank, everything that the PBS reports, that comes from that, anything that the SECP reports, that comes from SECP. So we try to use the primary sources of data rather than going on trading economics and getting export data. So all raw data comes from the authenticated sources. If you want to elaborate, if you want me to elaborate more, I can do that. Fantastic question on statistical issues, because think about how, if we are trying to automate that, that it makes our job a lot harder as well, because 2015-16 base year hota hai, फिर 2018-19 का भी हो जाता है, अब जाके आगे वापस change होगा. But definitely we have plans to incorporate the rebasing into our figures as well. We already wrote a bit about what would happen if you rebase. For example, during COVID, consumption patterns changed quite a lot. So we talked about how if you think about the amount people are not spending on transport and spending on housing now, you will see inflation would be over a percentage higher actually, given that compared to what's reported. So we did that piece of analysis, and plan is to sort of talk about that as well. The fourth one was on business model. We are completely grant driven, and grant driven also from like independent institutions, not that. So we have gotten offers for grants from, let's say, like institutions that would in turn want us to write something for them. But that I feel like will compromise a bit of the editorial independence that we're looking for. So we're completely grant driven right now. Small team, 4 people with a variety of contributors, some of them who are experts, some of them are more generalists. So everyone from the World Bank to the World Health Organization, everyone who Nadeem Saab doesn't really like, writes for us. But again, we tend to choose people who know their stuff and can explain it in bite-sized manners, right? That's the test, that's the litmus test that we do. Can you explain it to us? So like when we talk to a new contributor, for example, first question we ask Asad and I is, can you send us 5 bullets of what you want to say, right? Let's not get into, this is the beta coefficient, this is the coefficient of variation, this is what my regression output was. Tell us 5 things that you will convey to people that will make sense. And then we ask for the data, and then we elaborate, and then we make it sort of bite-sized. So rather than getting someone to think about exchange rate movement, to be very honest, does not require a lot of expertise. अगर आप मैं साथ में foreign exchange track कर रहा हूँ और मैं साथ में exports भी track कर रहा हूँ and balance of payment movements track कर रहा हूँ, current account movements track कर रहा हूँ, I can sort of have a decent view on why it's moving. अगर export information नहीं निकली, remittance information नहीं निकली, or foreign exchange reserves went down, I can have a reasonable guess that the state bank intervened with $200-300 million and tried to stabilize the exchange rate, right? So this is the kind of stuff that I don't know, maybe I don't have the time, to be honest, in a week to run a model and determine if that's the correct thing. But a reasonable estimate sort of is what the Pakistani audience really needs. So we can hire an expert to talk about each sort of topic at some point in time when we have the funds as well, and when we are big enough. But for now, it's a few generalists working behind the scenes trying to make people understand what Pakistan's economics are about.
I will add here as well that in terms of contributors, so we have a small core team, but then we do get contributions from a lot of different people with different opinions, right? So, and to be honest, like we do not necessarily take strong political stances on how we feel about a certain political or economic issue. So our contributors are free to make their own arguments. Like we've published in the past people who are positive about, for example, Naya Pakistan certificates. And now we may be in the process of publishing an article that is critical of Naya Pakistan certificates. We don't have an issue with that as long as people are willing to provide data to back up their arguments, then, and they can go through our editorial review process, then we are happy to entertain those arguments, because that is ultimately what economic discussion is about to be about. So yeah, we do also accept contributions, and people can feel free to pitch to me over email as well. And then perhaps if there's something promising there, we can take that forward.
There you go, folks. That's an invitation you should definitely take up. Let me just also say, I think quite frankly, this data visualization, please talk to me. Maybe we can help you, or I mean, collaborate with you, see how we can, because I think data visualization is very important too. For example, think about it. As you mentioned just now, Faiz, if we can have a chart with exchange rates, exchange rate and exports together, or even and exchange rate and reserves together. Or if you can have a chart with, remittances, reserves, and exchange rates together, something like that. I mean, I can think of so many data visualizations that need to be done because it grabs people when you have data visualization. So let's talk offline on data visualization there. I think we should do something together. We can even try and arrange some funding for you. I think that'll be a fascinating thing if we can get data visualization going through you guys, because we haven't been able to do it. Okay, let's get Abdul Bari Saab. Bari Saab. Bari Saab.
Assalamualaikum, sir.
बोलिए.
इंफॉर्मेटिव सेशन आपने अरेंज किया जी. थैंक यू वेरी मच. आपने बड़ा इंफॉर्मेटिव सेशन अरेंज किया पाइड ने एंड मैक्रो पाकिस्तानी ने. मेरा क्वेश्चन बेसिकली ये है कि
आपका नेट कमजोर है.
डिफरेंट. सर आवाज आ रही है अभी?
अब आ रही है, पर एक ही जगह खड़े हैं, मूव ना करें. ठीक है, बोलिए.
जी, मैं ये कह रहा था कि जो डेटा वेरिएशंस आती हैं डिफरेंट डिफरेंट सोर्सेज हैं. वर्ल्ड बैंक एक रिलायबल सोर्स है, फिर पाकिस्तान इकोनॉमी का. तो इसमें जब भी हम डेटा पे वर्किंग करते हैं डिफरेंट इंडिकेटर्स की, तो इसमें डेटा वेरिएशंस बहुत आती हैं. तो इनको कैटर किस तरह किया जाए? कोई अप्रोच लाइक वर्ल्ड बैंक का बिल्कुल डिफरेंट डेटा है, पाकिस्तान इकोनॉमी, पाकिस्तान गवर्नमेंट का डिफरेंट डेटा है. लाइक लेबर फोर्स का मैंने अभी रिसेंट एनालिसिस किया, तो लेबर फोर्स वर्ल्ड बैंक 72 मिलियन बता रहा है लेकिन पाकिस्तान जो गवर्नमेंट है वो इससे काफी कम बता रही है, वो 65-67 मिलियन बता रही है. तो इन चीजों को कैसे कैटर करें हम एज अ रिसर्चर?
गुड क्वेश्चन जी. मेहर जैदी. मेहर जैदी
जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम. Very good program today, much needed sector they are covering. My question is about health economics and health data from Pakistan. इस पे कुछ आप लोग काम कर रहे हैं और ये जरूर आप लोग शामिल करें, और अगर कर रहे हैं. और दूसरी चीज ये थी कि आप जो ऑलरेडी जिन्होंने किताबें लिखी हैं और डेटा प्रोवाइड किया है other than government sectors, इनको भी include करें in all the fields. Thank you so much.
Good job. Khurram Elahi.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर. मैक्रो पाकिस्तानी, पहले तो बहुत कंग्रेचुलेशंस, वंडरफुल थिंग. मेरे बड़े बाइनरी नौयत के सवालात हैं जिनको मैं अपने आई वर्क एट पाइड, तो मैं यहाँ इस्तेमाल करूँगा. पहला कि आपने इस अपने तजुर्बे में क्या सीखा है कि टेक्स्ट और द पॉडकास्ट, लाइक टू कन्वे टू समवन, टेक्स्ट या पॉडकास्ट. दूसरा, मैं आपकी जब देखता हूँ फेसबुक पेज, तो इज इट फॉर द लेमैन और फॉर द क्वालिफाइड लेमैन? मतलब कि और क्या आप समझते हैं, क्योंकि डॉक्टर नदीम उल हक भी ये चाहते हैं कि हम आम आदमी से बात करें, जैसे सौर इसराफील की तरह हमें इकोनॉमी ऊपर से आती है, हमारी जिंदगी तब्दील करती है, हमारी राय लिए बगैर चली जाती है. तीसरा, विच मीडियम? आपने बताया कि इंस्टा पे 13,000 फॉलोअर हैं, जो कि बहुत बड़ा नंबर है इंस्टा पे लेना सडन ग्रोथ में, लेकिन फेसबुक पे बहुत कम है. तो क्या ये कुछ स्ट्रेटेजिकली आपने इस तरह रखा हुआ है कि फेसबुक पे कम रखना है? और अल्टीमेटली कौन सा मीडियम आप ज्यादा यूज करेंगे? और आपको क्या लगता है कि कोई, अगर हमने मईशत पे, इकोनॉमी पे बात करनी हो, वेयर वी कुड हैव मोर पीपल, वेयर वी कुड ब्रिंग मोर इम्पैक्ट विद लेस ऑफ पावर? बहुत शुक्रिया.
थैंक यू जी, थैंक यू. बशारत सईद साहब.
Ji, thank you, Dr. Nadeem, and thank you, Asad and Faiz, for this initiative. I was just an idea for you guys to consider, which is that since you're sifting through copious amounts of data, I'm sure you come.
Yourself as well. Introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. So this is Basharat Said. I work as a water resources specialist for the World Bank, and I know Asad from a past life. We were both varsity debaters.
Good to hear.
Yeah. So first of all, yes, I notice how you emphasize that we need to substantiate arguments. So that's a throwback to when we used to debate. I just wanted to say, so going through copious amounts of data, I'm sure you hit dead ends, and there are big data gaps that you come across. A very constructive exercise would be if you could start taking note of that and maybe have a monthly or quarterly publication on what are big gaps, what we don't know, and what we could achieve in terms of analytics, in terms of policy direction and evidence, if those gaps were plugged. Right now, we started doing this in the water sector, where we said, okay, so this is how ideally you would, let's say, manage a river system. And for this, this is what you need to know. This is what the current state of data collection in Pakistan and quality of data collection in Pakistan is, which is why we miss, and this is how we're missing out on modern adequate water resources management. So for the macroeconomic field, maybe it's something you guys can do on the side. I would be very interested to see a monthly post on one big data gap and kind of direct it to the people who have the power and authority to maybe invest in that. And kind of take us beyond the generic recommendation, which we see everywhere, which is that, oh, there are big data gaps in Pakistan, full stop. So you guys could kind of pick up from the full stop and add some more teeth to it. Thank you.
Iftikhar Ahmed Sahab.
Thank you, Dr. Nadeem, and thank you, Faiz and Asad, for your excellent presentation and explanation. I have simple question. Like you, as the platform suggests that it's macro Pakistani, and you are talking about exchange rate and secondary data. So what about the micro data, the first-hand data, the qualitative analysis? Do you deal with that or not?
Okay, Ji, great. Back to you, Faiz. Go ahead.
Great. I love the questions that are coming on labor market. So pehla wala us pe tha. In terms of data difference, I think it has to do with overall population. So hamara official census bolta hai our population is 207 as of 2017. Uske baad thoda bahut change hua hai. I've also seen the IMF, the ILO report unemployment in Pakistan at 5.7%, which again I don't really believe. So I stick to primary sort of sources of data again, which is PBS. So the 2017-18 ke baad labor survey output we haven't received. I will not talk about unemployment beyond that. Or if it comes out, we'll talk about, okay, this is an estimate from ILO, or this is an estimate from the IMF, and it's not really coming from the source itself. It should be the Pakistan Bureau of Statistics. So I know that there is a data gap. I've seen the same data gap as well, the World Bank versus PBS. But let's see when it sort of converges. From what I understand, 2019-20 ka data nikal jana chahiye tha, abhi tak nahi nikla hai. So hopefully when that comes out, we'll have a more concrete idea of what the labor market, where it stands. Health economics, very interesting. We're already trying to work with someone from AKU. If you have any sort of expertise, we're happy to work with you as well. But definitely feel like in health economics, we're particularly interested in nutrition these days, maybe, and Asad is trying to take that up. So nutrition, wheat shortage in Pakistan mein, do we really need that kind of wheat? Agar hamari diet change ho chuki hai, that's really what we're trying to explore, and links up with health economics, links up with economics itself, food insecurity. So we're looking into that, and definitely also getting an author to write an article about their book in the next few weeks. So check. I'm very happy that I can sort of say that yes, this is happening. The binary questions are very interesting.
Just first, before you continue, just to also add that, like, a lot of the primary data sources that we talk about in terms of State Bank or SCCP or PBS, we use that for our weekly or monthly price bulletins. But then when it comes to contributor pieces and our long form articles, then we also encourage people to augment this sources from different areas. As Basharat mentioned, there are often data gaps as well. So you often have to rely on international organizations. And in any case, it helps create a more complete picture, because at least in my personal opinion, that even our government data in terms of statistical techniques can sometimes be perhaps not necessarily up to scratch. So the idea is to give you some context and general picture of the estimate of the numbers rather than it nailed down to an exact specific number. Go on.
Yeah, great. So the binary questions, text versus podcast. So I started and I read a lot, right? So for me, I thought everyone was going to read a lot, but I can guarantee a 7-minute video does a lot more than an 1800-word article. That's what I felt. So I would say a short podcast over an article. Yes. In terms of the website and social media, unfortunately, it's for the qualified layman right now. but we are working as hard as possible to make it for a complete layman. By qualified, I mean has some sort of interest in news, knows a bit about the economy, and is trying to drill down. But we started a series on terms of the week, which is every week we explain a term in economics and try to break it down with the Pakistani context. So savings rate kya hai, how many people invest, like how to invest, etc. Like we're trying to make it for the layman as well. But for now, I feel like it is very much for the qualified layman, which will improve going forward. Insta versus FB, it's a lot. So Facebook traction is quite, I would say, easy because आप Facebook पे like करते हैं. Again, this is a millennial thought, which is Facebook पे like करते हैं. People don't find out, that you've liked it or whatever. But on Instagram, when you follow, it shows the number of followers, people that you're following, right? So people both are very conservative in terms of who they follow on Instagram. On Facebook, they're not as conservative. So if I want true engagement, I will get that on Twitter, I will get that on Instagram, but not so much on Facebook. So right now we're focusing a lot more on engagement so that we learn what people want. We actually educate people rather than just go viral. So virality, Facebook, if you want to educate, engage people, Instagram and Twitter, I would say is the way to go. YouTube, we just launched like 2 months back. So we're learning a lot more about YouTube these days. Probably will take us the next few months, and then we can start sort of going towards the virality behind it. Great idea about the.
Yeah, just to be clear, we're not deliberately suppressing our Facebook page either. So everyone feel free to go like our Facebook page. If Facebook is your platform of choice, like us on any platform, please.
No, I was giving more the data analytics behind, or the thought behind why we are focusing on one over the other in terms of pushing our content. In terms of data gaps, we already sort of talk about it, but I think making it into a structured form, okay, this is the data gap that's missing. I've written it down. Let me put some more thought about it behind with Asad, and let's see what we can do about it. I rant a lot about not having quarterly GDP. I rant a lot about not having provincial GDP, but maybe instead of a rant, if it's a more structured sort of proposal to the government with these are the benefits of having that. How can you debate inflation, for example, if it's demand pull or cost push, if you don't have estimates of output gap, or like how much is the economy overheating, etc. So I feel like all of those conversations become a lot more enriched if you have the right kind of data. But yes, let's start looking into that. Macro Pakistani, getting into microeconomics, 100% we are already getting into. So I mentioned health already. We've done a bunch on education. We're trying to get into the level of nutrition, etc. And these are just topics that we started getting into now. Obviously, the world is not just macro. What really matters and what we're trying to affect are the daily lives of people in Pakistan. So full plans to get more into micro data, into qualitative sort of analysis. I'm very averse to opinion pieces. Asad really wants opinion pieces. So we're sort of caught in the middle of trying to figure out, are we going to be super analytical or bring in qualitative stuff as well? But stay tuned, and hopefully we can bring a more wholesome experience soon.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I am a big fan of qualitative analysis, perhaps because of the my subject training and interest in the past. So rest assured, we will be adding more of that. Obviously, qualitative analysis is a bit more financially, resource-wise, a bit more difficult. But in my opinion, the best stories, the most compelling stories do include elements of qualitative as well as quantitative analysis. So that's definitely something that we're at least looking at in our contributor pieces, even if we're not able right now to go directly on the ground and get those individual stories. But I do think they help tell a good story overall.
Great, wonderful. Last question, Saima Hamid.
Yes, sir. And Nadeem Saab, my question is for you, sir. So for the research community, what would you suggest in case of data variation? So for example, coming back to the same example, if the figures are quoted by the World Bank and the figures simultaneously quoted by the PBS or the government of Pakistan. So how would you suggest which data to go for?
Sorry, Salma, have we lost you?
No, Najitha, the question was to you. So
no, I think as she finished or not.
Yeah.
Okay, Salma, look, my point of view here is very simple. The World Bank makes no data. The World Bank and the IMF take data from official sources. So official sources are always supreme. I don't know why the data differs, but I should always take the local data because that's the yardstick and that's what everybody uses. In fact, the World Bank is just supposed to, and the IMF is just supposed to aggregate local data, not develop their own data. So let's stay with the local data. But I would also like to add, data is important, but our research has become too data captivated, so to speak. I mean, the donors have forced us to look at data in a very, how should I say, in a very pedantic fashion, that everything has to be data driven. Whereas the interesting thing is the donors don't follow data themselves. They make up data. I mean, if you look at any World Bank report, it's full of data that's made up. And if you look at the competitiveness index, it's just a perception survey, which I can do in half an hour. And if you look at all the global indicators are really just absolute, I mean, I don't even know how to interpret them. I mean, Transparency International, I've written them often, I've written about them often, they don't agree. It's a racist index. All it says is white people are not corrupt and black people are corrupt. And the yellow people are somewhere in the middle. So, I mean, you know, hey, that's really not the kind of research we want. But okay, thanks, folks. I think it's been great. Let me suggest 2 or 3 things to you. Oh, there's another guy. Leonardo wants to say something. Leonardo, go ahead, Leonardo. Introduce yourself and ask your question. Leonardo.
Hoy vamos a leerles El pequeño delfín que hacía.
Oh, okay, that was just spam. Doesn't matter. It's okay. We've had worse. So Faz and Asad, great presentation, great talk, wonderful. I think it's a great effort. We really appreciate what you've done. As I said, PIDE will collaborate with you wholeheartedly. I'll suggest 2 things that we should do if possible. One is we'll repeat this seminar every quarter so that we learn from you what new things you've developed, and we also give you honest feedback. So if you have the time, contact us every quarter, every 6 months, whatever you like, at a frequent interval, not frequent, but some interval, we should do it so that we can keep learning from you. We showcase what we've got to you. So that'll be a good way to also reach out to people and, you know, especially the academic audience, because you got a good share of the academic audience and you can reach out to them. So that's one thing. The second thing is, let's talk offline on collaboration. I'm really keen on data visualization. So we'll be happily do something on data visualization with you. There could be a lot of stuff on data visualization that we can do, and whatever research we can do, we should try and plug into your website. I don't believe in, I mean, we don't need to compete with you. We need to build you up. We need to help you grow, because that's, I mean, we are all working for Pakistan. It's not about us or you. So let's establish a communication offline, and let's continue to do that. And meanwhile, as I said, my congratulations to you, and my strong support to help you make this grow. This is a great service that you're doing, and I'm really looking forward to the day that Hamid Mir and Kamran Khan should first consult your website before they bloody well start, you know, opening their mouth, and that the government also should have some real analysis before them. Analysis doesn't have to be, I mean, we are too researchers are too hung up on econometrics and too hung up on so many things. Analysis, good data visualization can raise, you know, light bulbs in your brain, like in the old comics. They could really, so good data visualization is good analysis. Otherwise, also, as you said, I keep telling, I have 2 things here that I tell people. One is I say, okay, even in research, give me an elevator pitch. Don't start off by saying I use this test or that test or did this or did that. I just want an elevator pitch. What is your question? What is the possible solution, or what is the solution you found out? The second thing that I think is very important also, which our research has to move out to, which is my Nani test. Anything that my Nani knows is not research. I mean, research has to move beyond. Too much research is just saying the obvious. Sir, Pakistan grow nahi kar raha kyunki saving rate low hai. So bullshit, yaar, move on. I mean, saving rate low hai. Well, to main manta hi nahi saving rate low hai. So there are so many things to discuss. Even our data is kind of, without interpretation data is meaningless, and we interpret data without thinking. The savings rate low है, because the savings rate low है, तो savings rate अगर low है तो लोग गरीब क्यों नहीं हो रहे? मैं तो देखता हूँ लोग अमीर हो रहे हैं. So there is an issue there. But anyway, lots to discuss, and hopefully Asad and Faiz will be talking a lot more offline. But my invite to you is there कि आप please हमारे साथ जो collaborate कर सकते करें, और हर quarters 4 months जो भी आप कहें, we should have a webinar to see आपकी क्या further developments हुई हैं, and build you up further. Okay, thank you folks, all the best. Thanks for taking out the time. Khuda Hafiz. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.